Good day, everyone. Welcome to Journey of the Anointed with Mr. Buzz. So, apparently I've crossed the finish line and passed all my tests and made it to the end. And I'm real happy about that. Let me tell you, happier than you could even know. I'm so happy about that I'm almost speechless about it. So, I've talked a lot in my videos here about being tested and how God was using cockroaches to refine me in different ways. And I mean, I've been describing it all, right? Well, it got to the point yesterday. Excuse me. Pretty much broke me in half. It finally, God just really pounded me the last couple days. He pounded me hard. And I think everybody gets this. It's part of the program, right? I was literally in a program where I was being refined by fire. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. But I've got these 7 tests. I guess the easiest way to explain this is just to go piece by piece as it unfolded yesterday. I was so happy to be able to go for a walk yesterday because I'd been prevented from even doing that for a couple of days. Just circumstances didn't allow for me to even get out of the house for a few minutes. So I finally get to get out and go for a walk. So I went, and it was sloppy and wet. It snowed, then everything melted. It just like I described the other day. It snowed, then it got warm and everything melted. Then it flash froze. Okay, so that makes a real bad mess. So I went for a walk while it was in the middle of the melting process, and I was soaked right up to my knees. I was soaked just from walking. I walked in some big puddles by mistake. I had cars go by and splash in puddles and spray me and all that kind of stuff. And it's cold. It's wintertime at the same time, so it's not like that happening in the summer. It was just miserable. And I get pounded hard. Like by the time I got home, soaked right through it. I just peeled my clothes off, and it was not fun. It was really terrible. So then, of course, okay, I'm cool. I'm home now. I'm sitting and got dry clothes on. And everything else just keeps going wrong. My YouTube channel just has totally crashed. This channel has completely crashed. People are unsubscribing so constantly now. My numbers just keep plummeting. It's just falling right apart. I bought that phone the other day, and the return's not going well, so my money that I really need to get back, that's all tied up there, and that's could be for days and days. It just got really, really bad, to the point where I couldn't stand no more. I was in tears. I was sitting here, and I was just saying, God, I can't take it anymore. But why? Why are you doing this? Like, it's part of my program. It's part of my program. So I went to bed. I just got so disgusted. I said, God, I'm going to bed. I'm going to get up a little while, and I'll make another attempt at keeping get my head together. And if you got more tests, okay, we'll deal with them later. And I'm trying to be strong. But I went to bed, and as soon as I laid there, I just broke right down, and I completely lost it. And I cried really hard. Cried myself into a sleep kind of thing, and woke up a little while later. It's like, wow, God, I'm sorry. I finally broke down and I lost my mind there, and so I'm repenting. I'm telling God I'm sorry. Don't mean to whine and complain. Should be tough enough to handle this. Come downstairs, make some coffee, and still feeling really bad. And the YouTube channel's still plummeting. More people unsubscribing. Things couldn't be going worse. It's just everything is all bad still. So I sit down. Well, let's see what my feed has to say, because that's where the answers always are, in YouTube feed. For some weird reason, that's the way the world is designed, I guess. YouTube is going to answer your questions. So this video comes up. The 7 tests the chosen ones must pass. And I'm like, oh, that one gotta be for me. It sure was. It sure was. It's a 20-some minute video, and it goes through the tests that the chosen ones or anointed ones are put through by God. And how some of them are what they call a refining fire. I was absolutely blown away watching this video, because it described the last 2 years of my life to a T. Test number 1, the test of identity. So this is the one where you lose the identity that you used to have, which is exactly what happened to me after my divorce. I was the rockmeister. I was the music teacher. I was all kinds of things, and my identity was attached to all those things. Suddenly, those things were gone, and I was stripped clean of any identity. I didn't have one anymore. That was part of my devastation. That was it right there. I lost my identity completely. This one is considered to be a refining fire. So this will refine you. You're going to be basically left naked without your identity to find out who you really are. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly how it went. So it had my attention already. I'm like, okay, that certainly happened. Number 2, the test of isolation. Well, I get this one more than most people. I got almost a decade of this. That's way longer than most anointed ones have to endure. I endured almost a decade. The funny thing about the test of isolation is I used to be into shamanism, and I had a shaman train me to be a shaman myself. That's one of the things a shaman has to go through, is 2 years of isolation. I've now done almost 10. Number 3, the test of letting go. I would call it detachment, because that's what I was calling it as it was happening. I got rid of all my stuff. I used to own 30 guitars. I went down to 0. I had a music school. I lost it. I lost my wife. I lost my family. My kids stopped talking to me. My daughter stopped talking to me 8 years ago. I lost everything. Everything. I went down to the clothes on my back and just let it all go and said, I don't need any of it anymore. It's all gone. That's okay. And I literally detached from everything. The test of letting go. Number 4, the dark night of the soul. I've done videos on this, how I went through a brutal dark night of the soul, and it felt like God was wringing me out like a face cloth and just relentlessly pounding the guts out of me, crying so hard for hours and hours straight that I had a pool of tears on the floor, like a big pool of tears from everything just crumbling. The dark night of the soul is the worst one of all of these. It's so brutal. You think you're going to die. You beg for death, actually. You'll beg God to kill you. That's what I ended up doing. You pound your fists. You scream. You'll beg him to kill you because you can't take no more. You're at the end. It's all you can take. And when you get like that, he squeezes you harder and just till there's nothing left inside you. He empties you completely through the process of the dark night of the soul. That's number 4. And they happen in this order, too. They happen in this order. And they did. Right in the order they gave them to me. That's the order they happened. Number 5, the test of faith. You are given more tests about faith to test it, to see if your faith is strong enough. I was given one after another. One after another. And then when I didn't have enough faith, I'd be allowed to see what happened without my faith. Okay, you don't have enough faith? Well, this is what happens to you. And then God would remove my protection or something and let the witches have their way with me. Yeah, we went through a lot of tests of faith. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This one, next one, I've been talking about this constantly. I made a video just the other day asking other people to do this one. The test of surrender. Laying your life down and saying, here, God, my life is yours. I surrender. I submit totally to you. The precise thing I've been talking about is test number 6. And number 7, the awakening. Awakening to who we really are. That's exactly what I've done in the last few days. Realizing how tough I am. Realizing how much faith I really do have. Realizing that my purpose in life is to give my life to Jesus Christ. And he has a purpose for me that I'm just going to walk right into because I know it's right, because it's the one he has for me. That process has just happened. So it got to the end of the 7 tests. And I'm like, hold it now. That means I'm finished. I did all those. That's exactly what it means. It says at the end of the video, congratulations. You made it. So it was kind of like, I mentioned a movie called The Game maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And it's a movie in which this elaborate game is orchestrated for the person. And they're going just about their daily life, but all these things have been arranged to put them through all these tests and these maneuvers and stuff. And then at the end, it announces, here you go, you've made it. You've made it to the end of your game. Here you are. And that's what it was like. So it's saying congratulations. I'm sitting here in tears, almost unable to believe how accurate that video just was. I go back to my regular feed, and the next one is this, I don't want to call her she's not a pastor. She's a prophet for sure, prophetess. She confirms it. This is the video and it was a 6-month-old video, but it was one I noticed kept coming up over and over in my feed today. I'm like, okay, that's an old video from 6 months ago that won't stop coming up. So I clicked on it, and sure enough, it was for the chosen or the anointed ones who just crossed the finish line. Congratulations. You made it. You're tough, you're resilient, you persevered. You did this, you made it through the dark night of the soul. Congratulations. You have been refined by fire. Now that's quite a term. Refined by fire. The blacksmith, making things out of metal. That's one of the things he does with the metal, is he refines it by extreme hot fire, right? The Anointed One going through these tests, that's exactly what it's like. The dark night of the soul, the most horrific process possible. Several of them. The identity one, losing your identity. That was considered a refining fire. There's several of them that are. I'd say most of them are. The test of isolation, definitely a refining fire. By the time you endure these things, you are a different person. You are a completely different person. How much can I endure now? Well, after enduring all this, I feel like I'm one of the Navy SEALs now. I can take a lot, obviously. Now, mind you, it did finally get me. It's ironic, it was yesterday that I broke down right at the very end of it. I was at the finish line, and I crossed it, and I completely broke down, not knowing I had just crossed the finish line. I had no idea. And God left me for a few more hours yet. He just left me in a heap. And then he finally popped up that video and said, okay, you better watch that. That's important. And he finally let me off the hook and let me know, wow. And I got a feeling that there was other people watching me go through this. I know one in particular who knew exactly what I was going through. Knew this was a series of tests with a finish line and apparently rewards on the other side, which I haven't gotten to enjoy yet, but there was another video come next, and it had a confirmation in it, something that told me it was for sure real. It was that same prophetess saying, you're going to celebrate. And I had a vision of you celebrating. It was all about the number 70. And I went, 70? That's the year of my birth. She's like, yep. Something about that year, something about the year 70. A Jubilee year, she said. That's a Jubilee year. And she talked about the vision where she saw, and it's almost my birthday too. It's like a month away from my birthday. And she kept saying that in the vision, the number 70 was everywhere. Number 70. She's like, it was you celebrating. And the number 70 is all over the place, everywhere. And I'm like, that is my birth year. That's like wild. Yep. That was the confirmation one saying, you're going to like what's coming now. You crossed the finish line. Now just sit tight and wait for the goodies. So that's where I find myself now. I made it through the tests. I actually asked God if we could, even though I'm done the tests, if we could keep the cockroach system, because I kind of like that. I like being able to know when I screw up. So I don't know if he's going to let me keep that or not. I hope he does. I don't want to let that go. I'll find out the next time I commit some sort of sin. I haven't done anything since I crossed the finish line. I've been a good boy, so I guess I'll see if I get to keep the cockroach system or not. So there we go. I crossed the finish line, and I guess I won. I won my game. And quite the game it was. Think about the lyrics I wrote about the tests. I wrote a song called Squeaky Clean. I posted it just maybe a day or two ago. Check out the lyrics in that. I wrote that right before the real major test started. And I didn't have any idea I was being tested at the time. That's just what came out of me for lyrics. Read those lyrics in Squeaky Clean. God was obviously writing those lyrics for me. He wrote it all about this. Hard to believe. The whole thing is so wild. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'm just a little... it's pretty blissful here right now. I feel... I can't believe what I just experienced. It's most amazing thing ever that I ever experienced. And I'm so glad I came out on the top end of it, because there was times when it almost broke me in half. But now I know how the Navy SEALs must feel when they accomplish that training and they graduate and they get their, they get to be a real Navy SEAL officially. Must be quite a sense of accomplishment. That's how I feel right now. Thanks for watching, and I want to thank Jesus Christ, Lord of Lords and King of Kings.